Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
Well, Prof, thank you for speaking to us. I wanted to ask you a question on something. I'm sure your attention has been drawn to it. The statement issued by the president on new deputy ministerial appointments. I don't know if you've seen that. Where Stephen Amwa has been moved to the finance ministry. And somebody being appointed as a replacement. And I wanted to find out from you, because I've always gotten the impression from listening to you that you feel the president has missed several opportunities to reduce the size of his government, that having one deputy minister of finance should be enough, that you do not need to, at least if you decide to move Stephen Amwa to the finance ministry, it could have kept the vacancy at the trade ministry so that the numbers of ministers reduced by one at least. What do you make of that move?
The presidency is not interested in the national interest when it comes to these appointments, reshuffling and moving people here and there. It is interested in partisan interests, trying to please people and trying to satisfy people who may not have received anything, any appointment. And so he's just being driven by partisan interests. He's closed his mind to the calls for downsizing. I mean, and you have known for the past close to 8 years, this president has not been very much, in most times, he's not been very much receptive to public opinion. So I think for many of us, we have given up on him in the call to him to downsize. I think we've given up. It appears that he would not listen. What at all do these deputy ministers know? What at all are they bringing on board the activities of those ministries that the career public servants there do not know? If you go to Italy and many countries that believe in coalition governments, when coalition crumbles, ministers are not appointed. It's the civil service and the public servants who run the nation. You may not have this, but they are career officials. So these ministers and deputy ministers, when they are appointed to these ministries, they go and sit on the laps of the career civil servants there, and the civil servants who teach them what to do and what not to do. So it is not by force that you must always have deputy ministers appointed to fill vacant positions, especially when you are exiting and especially when you have been inundated with calls by well-meaning Ghanaians to downsize your government. It also appears that the president is not even interested in any legacy that he wants to leave. I thought that being 80 and knowing you are exiting, you would want to be remembered for something good. But it appears that I do not care about what you say about me. I don't care about any legacy. And I've always argued that two things. We must begin to legislate about how presidents will conduct themselves if they are exiting power. Yes, we must begin to legislate about it, because we don't take care. What is going to happen is that every president who knows that, look, I'm going and I'll come again, will choose to do anything that pleases him or her, and damn the consequences. After all, I'm not going to ask for your vote again, I'm going away. We must begin to legislate about presidential conduct around the time that they will be exiting, so that they do not do anything that pleases them, but they would always act in a manner reflecting of the interest of the people of Ghana. Two, I think the NPP as a party, if it is also worth its salt and it's interested in truly breaking any age, they must then begin to think about mechanisms that they put in place to rescue their own political party from the claws of President Akuffo Addo. Because it appears that Akuffo Addo is disregarding almost many occasions is disregarding the views of Ghanaians. And yet it is the same Ghanaians that the NPP is going to be appealing to for the mandate to break any 8. And so, if your government now is disregarding the views of the very people tomorrow you'll be appealing to, then the government is making it difficult for you to appeal to the people. And so, if there are courageous and bold men and women in the NPP, let them rise up to rescue the party from the claws of the exiting Akuffo Addo presidency.
Interesting. There's the first one that legislating how president acts when they are about to exit power. Does that not take away the good faith that we're supposed to have in our leaders? Believe that they act right.
Yeah, we're supposed to have good faith, but if clearly presidents are abusing the faith we have in them, and even when clearly the generality of the people of Ghana says this is the way to go, and the president would want to swim against the tide by resorting to surreptitious technicalities just to think about outsmarting the intelligent Ghanaian, then we would have to legislate indeed against presidential debt-gootism. If they are exiting, they feel, well, I'm a debt good, so I don't care. We must legislate against presidential debt-gootism.
Is that what you think President Akuffo Addo is exhibiting? What you call presidential debt-gootism?
Yes.
And what does that mean?
A debt good is a debt good. He doesn't care about whatever you do, whatever you say, and all that. And President Akuffo Addo, on many occasions, wouldn't be bothered so much about what the people are saying. And it is not democracy, it's undemocratic. Even Jerry Rawlings, who openly confessed his dislike for multi-party democracy, knew how to give in when people led by President Akuffo Addo, the then Akuffo Addo, lawyer Akuffo Addo, led people in the Kumipreku demonstration in 1995. Rawlings knew how to pander to the opinion of the public, and so he withdrew the VAT for some time. And he wasn't a Democrat. One of the reasons why that we voted for President Akuffo Addo was his democratic pedigree. Okay, so if presidents around the time they are exiting one lesson and they will behave like that goods, then we should legislate against presidential gootism so that we do not set unnecessary precedents for others who do not want to copy from best practices to also want to follow.
Thank you. Thank you very much for speaking to us. It seems you are suggesting what some will call the Akuffo Addo clause. But this may be a little late, but belated happy birthday to you, Prof.
Thank you very much.
And thank you very much for speaking to us this morning. That's Professor Ransford Gyampo, who joined us. He's a political science professor. He lectures at the University of Ghana, Legon, speaking to us this morning. Now, if you recall the SML matter, this was about a company that essentially Fourth Estate, through their investigation, found that they were really doing nothing. But what they claimed to be doing was what they call revenue assurance in the downstream oil sector. So they said they were doing some measurements and some things, and they were being paid. They had a very juicy contract on the Ghana Revenue Authority. But the Fourth Estate investigated the matter and was of the opinion that actually we're paying these people for doing virtually nothing. In fact, Professor Ransford Gyampo, I think, was the first person, and then I spoke to Honorable Samuel Kujetua Blackwell, who confirmed to me that the KPMG that the president had tasked to investigate the matter had finished their work, and they had submitted a report to President Akuffo Addo. So once these things became public, Professor Ransford Gyampo post, and then, like I said, I didn't see a post on Facebook, but he told me that there was a response to specifically Professor Ransford Gyampo's post by Eugene Ahin, who is Director of Communications at the Presidency, and so they responded to that particular suggestion. So Eugene Ahin responded. Eugene Ahin says the president has the report. The president is studying it, and will in due course tell us what he intends to do. So we have to wait for the president to tell us whether or not he will act, or he thinks that these are actions of naysayers, and he as for him, there, he doesn't mind naysayers, and everybody else is a naysayer, and they are the only people who got it right. But in the meantime, science professor at the University of Ghana, Professor Ransford Gyampo. Now we're just referring to that story in the Daybreak where Eric was drawing attention to Eugene Ahin's response to the suggestions that the president now has. So Eugene Ahin has confessed that the president has a copy of the KPMG report done on the SML agreement. Professor Ransford Gyampo has a simple plea to the government, to the president: publish it. Prof, good morning to you, and I hope you're well. Hello, Prof.
Oh, hello. Good morning.
Yes, I hope you're well.
By the grace of God, I'm fine.
Nice to have you on the line. First, let's start with why you think the president should necessarily publish this report.
Okay. Let us get some sequencing of events right. I heard you say Eugene Ahin went to write on the Facebook page acknowledging that the presidency has received a copy, has received the KPMG report on the SML. I want us to get a sequencing right. I wrote to the presidency first, and Eugene Ahin subsequently responded. So you can check the Ransford Gyampo Facebook and look at the time that my letter was written. And then check his also social media page and see the time that was he also responded. Some 1-2 people in the media are confusing the sequencing, and so they created an impression that the presidency acknowledged that they have received a copy of the SML report. Then subsequently, I wrote that he should make it public. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
I do get it. And pardon me if that was a suggestion that I made, but that was not what I intended.
Okay.
Yeah, that was not what I do know that you published first before him. Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So basically, we are sitting our somewhere, popular Ghanaian fellas, and then we had media reportage of the outcome of some investigations that have been conducted into the activities of the SML, suggesting some corrupt deals and corrupt shady deals in a deal. And so we were all not too happy about what was going on. Many felt it was becoming one too many. I think the President of the Republic swiftly set up, resolved to ask KPMG to audit the activities of the SML and to come out of a report. You recall that many Ghanaians, and especially you guys in the media, were not happy that KPMG had been contacted to do this work, because many felt that there were competent state institutions that could also do the same work. But I took the view that it's like we are a nation of talkers. We like talking too much. whatever you do, people will talk. If the government had given this to any of the state institutions in charge of investigations, we would have said that the government would control them and manipulate them. Now, government has also given it to a private firm. We are still talking. And so I felt that KPMG, it is in their own interest to do a good job because they're a professional organization. And so I believed we were going to do a good job. Now, I think we're given 2 weeks to do their work, and they subsequently asked for extension. I got reliable information just the dawn of yesterday that the report has been submitted. And if you recall, I was talking about this deal when it broke, the story broke. And so I do not set out to do something and abandon it midway, like many do. Those who broke the story, I was expecting that they would also have been following up to see what KPMG was doing, and then they would have also publicly come out when the report was submitted to the president and nothing was being done, and the public hadn't even been made aware. I was expecting those who broke the news to follow up through the processes to ensure that what they initiated gets to its logical conclusion. But like I said, many people are quick to break the news, but they are not willing to do anything about the news that they've broken, to see that activities that are supposed to be undertaken to address the issues they may have raised in their breaking news are carried to their logical conclusion. Well, I'm not a media person. I'm just a teacher who's passionate about Ghana. So I followed up, and like I said, I got the information that, well, the report has been handed down to the presidency. And when I got that information, that was when I decided to write the open letter to the president that, given the heightened public interest in the matter at the time, the presidency has no right to sit on the report. First of all, the good people of Ghana must be made to know what is in the report. And then secondly, the presidency would have to act afterwards. So that's basically what I sought to do. I felt that, look, a president stouted, he used to be stouted as a great human rights lawyer. And the right to know, the right to information is also a human right. So I sought to remind him about his previous credentials when he was not president as one of the foremost human rights lawyers in Ghana. I sought to remind him about those credentials and use that as a basis to call on him to act in enhancing the frontiers of our right to know, especially about the contents of the KPMG report on activities of the SML. I also sought to let him know that other people, including my own teacher, Professor Gyampo, earlier indicated that his track record in the fight against corruption is in tatters. And I said that all may not be lost. How he acts on this particular report. First of all, how he puts the content of the report in the public domain and how he acts would help in addressing that damning comment or judgment from my teacher about his track record in the fight against corruption. So basically, that was the content of the letter, and subsequently, I had media reportage, and then that forced me to go and check that Eugene Ahen of the presidency has also responded, at least acknowledging receipt of the report and that the presidency is studying it. And I said that, well, I mean, the report is written in English. The president is a lawyer. And lawyers, if you don't know English well, you don't become a lawyer. So I was expecting that we were not going to be told that we are studying. If you're studying, it creates an impression that we're going to have some period of time to look into it. But I think that the report should be straightforward for anybody who wants to act on it to act on it. And so first of all, let Ghanaians know whether there was initial deal, or if there wasn't initial deal, what have we done to the image and reputation of SML? We should know all these things, and then together we can also carry it along if the president wants any action to be taken.
So, do you, and for the sake of clarity, do you accept the Eugene Ahin's suggestion that the president is studying the findings of the audit report and will in due course make his decisions known to the Ghanaian people?
First of all, that Ghanaians were not made aware that the report had been received by the presidency. And that it had to take somebody to write, to put a certain pressure for Eugene to come and say, oh, we have received it, makes me a bit worried when you tell us that you are studying it. It means it may take a long time. And so I think you are studying the report. If a politician tells you have received it, I'm studying it, you should accept it with some trepidation. And so it is good that you were forced to come and acknowledge receipt of the report. It's a plus, but I think we have to continue to keep them on their toes to ensure that they do not study the document in perpetuity. You know, Ghana, every now and then new things are happening. They shouldn't hide behind the new things that always happen to ensure that we all forget and all go to sleep and the 10 will die a natural death. No. Shady deals, the law must take its course. If there were no shady deals and we have run down the image of SML, let us also know and think about what can be done to repair the image of the company that they have been battered because of the allegations of malfeasance and corruption surrounding the contract with them.
In fact, the phrase you use is accept with trepidation, and you also raise issue with the fact that they did not make the Ghanaian aware. Is it a fear of the possibility of a cover-up if you had not posted that?
Well, let us look at the brighter side of life. Let us look at the brighter side of life. I do not also want it to look as if, well, it will be a lot of attention to me if we want to go that route of saying, if you had not written. And I'm already an attention, so I don't want to draw more to myself. So if they have now openly acknowledged that they have received the report, let us keep the fire on them to make sure that they don't study the document in perpetuity.
Now, your key request is for a publication of the report. In fact, there's the phrase, make his decisions in due course, make his decisions known to the Ghanaian people. Are you hoping that one of those decisions will be a decision to publish a report for all of us to read in full?
The presidency has no business shielding the report in opacity. If it is true that he is a Democrat And some of the ideals of democracy are accountability, transparency, and responsiveness on the part of government. So, if it is part of the decisions to make the contents of the report known to the Ghanaian public, it will be the right thing to do.
What if it's the other way around? Him communicating to us that based on the report, this is what I've decided to do. Would that be adequate enough for you?
We all showed interest in the matter, and so there is right to information. It's a law, and I expect the president to not to summarize anything, but to tell us what the contents of the reports are. We are interested in it, so I don't think that you have to just summarize it or just decide on the actions. Just tell us something about it. Let us know.
Maneva na sema PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV de osia dem yopo